Hey everybody, Jen Hatmaker here, your host of the For the Love podcast. You guys, welcome to the show. This is so fun. This is this is kind of some of my favorite stuff to do on this show because we're in a series called For the Love of Funny. And I love all the like serious and sober-minded and important and like big conversations that we host on the show. But I also love to laugh and I love funny people. And so I I if I had my druthers, we'd be doing a humor series like every third series. And so I've been so looking forward to this one and for good reason. Today, you guys, we have a hilarious trio on today. And you probably know them already, of course. We have Trey Kennedy and his wife Katie on today and Jake Triplett. So I love these guys. I've been consuming like Trey's content for years. Um, he is so funny and he's got this kind of short videos that you've positively seen. And I think I just relate to so much of his stuff because I grew up in a similar way. Just in church, every time the doors were open, sort of in the buckle of the Bible Belt. And that is a ton of their source material. And so I think just for me, because it's so familiar, it's hysterical. But no matter what your childhood was, they are hilarious. So Trey is a comedian who actually got his start on the Vine app. Woo, like throwback. And of course, now you can find him everywhere on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok. And so the three of them, between Trey and Katie and Jake, are co hosts of a podcast about in their fourth year called Correct Opinions. And they're known for absolutely roasting people with like crafted burns. And so Katie's there. She slaps her "that's enough" button when Trey and Jake get to be just too much. And when we talked today, they were in the middle of a really great international tour, which is so exciting for them. And we talk all about their rise and their beginnings and how this turned into an absolute like real job and what it has been like for them. And so these guys are so funny. They're super well versed in pop culture and slang and what all the kids are up to these days. You've got to check out their YouTube because their videos, their impersonations have earned them a massive following, massive. They find humor in just every little small thing. And then they say what we're all thinking. So they're so good at what they do. People write into their show begging to be roasted. That's how funny they are. And so I just completely enjoy this conversation. I so enjoy funny people. I love talking to them about their process, about their creative energy, about their sort of comeuppance, and these guys did not disappoint. So I'm so pleased to share with you my conversation with the incredibly hilarious Trey Kennedy, his beautiful wife Katie, and Jake Triplett. You guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. So we have Jake and we have Trey and we have Katie, and this is so fun and so cute. Just so my listeners can know who's who, will you just like introduce yourself and let's just start here. We're just gonna dive in. I'd like for you, when you introduce yourself, let's take it back for the people, just for the handful of people who aren't already listening to all the like hilarious nonsense you put out to the world, just raising the standard of like, emotional intelligence in the United States of America. And so let's hear about your growing up, each of you, because I have a feeling we're gonna have a lot of material here that I'm willing to hook into. So what were your households like? What was going on for you back then? Like, because this now has delightfully become a goldmine of content. And so listen, we can take trauma and we can turn it into humor like nobody's business. I learned that at Vacation Bible School that was free.
Yes.
Yes,
Let's go.
exactly.
Oh,
Okay,
that's awesome.
so Jake, you want to start?
Let's go, Jake.
Yeah. My name is Jake Triplett. My only comedy special I've ever released was called the Sheltered Kid Special because that is what I use to talk about on stage. I mean,
Yep.
I grew up like my parents wouldn't let me watch Harry Potter. because of the witchcraft.
Sure.
They wouldn't let me watch Twilight because those movies are terrible.
Good.
They had different rules. I still grew up Team Jacob, just the one from the Old Testament. That was kind of the one that I grew up with. And so definitely grew up just in the church, super sheltered, and didn't know anything. I thought that like I didn't know French kissing. I thought that was like when you kissed a girl's butt, and for a while. And I got married 2 months ago. And let's just say that night was very eye-opening.
I bet it was. I bet that it was. Some of those concepts didn't play out. They didn't hold. They didn't hold water.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sheltered kid wedding night. That's a whole.
Yeah, that's a whole bit. That needs to actually be its own entire stand-up special on Netflix.
Yeah.
It is weird. Sometimes after the show, people will be like, "Oh, I wish you would have talked about your wedding night more." Like, you're a pervert. All right.
Also, go to counseling. God, sheesh, weirdo. Where was this? Where was your sheltered childhood?
Oh, I grew up in Southwest Missouri on a farm. So like one stoplight, one Democrat type town.
Bro, listen, I grew up in Wichita. So I was literally your neighbor right across the border.
Yeah.
Growing up in like Boeing County.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't even know any Democrats. I didn't know that was real. When I went to church, growing up, around all I knew of American politics based on my environment was that when I went to church on a Sunday right before an election, inside our church bulletin, which I primarily used to write notes to my friends on, and I knew how to use the margins for the most amount of like real estate for writing. I don't think that Democrats were actually allowed in Kansas. I think that was a part of state legislation. And so what I understood about this is the singular thing I understood about politics as a person of voting age, so that should terrify, I guess, the nation, was that on an election, like right before an election, I'd go to church, and inside the bulletin was a voting guide. And what the voting guide was, I'm not going to say that it was bipartisan. I'm going to say that what it was a list of every Republican candidate in the world. And that you're supposed to take that right into the voting booth. And I just thought we could have saved paper. Like, just say straight ticket Republican. I don't need to know more. And so that's what I knew. That's what I knew, that if you were Southern Baptist Kansan, that is the way that you were to be voting. And that's the extent of my political knowledge when I went to college as a card carrying voter. So get excited.
Where'd you go to college?
Oh, well, you know exactly where I went to college. I went to Oklahoma Baptist University. So is that track?
You're the real deal.
Track? I essentially went to youth camp for 4 years. That's what I did.
Really expensive summer camp.
Super expensive summer camp. And, just churned out a whole bunch of like pastors and like secretly gay worship leaders and and then all of their wives. So it was just like this little like petri dish for like, future like religious, I guess abusers. I don't know. So anyway, I understand your Southwest Missouri upbringing.
Yeah. I went to Southwest Baptist University.
Bro, that was my second choice. The other OBU, the Southwest SBU and what's the city?
That's so funny. In Bolivar, Missouri.
Bolivar, Missouri. I visited it. I sure did.
Wow.
I visited it.
I don't come across a lot of people who know about
visiting all the Baptist universities is.
It was just the two. It was my college tour consisted of 2 towns, Bolivar and Shawnee, Oklahoma. And so now you know about that real like diligent process of choosing my future educational, ground. But
that's so funny. I visited 0 colleges. My parents met at SBU, and I was like, well, they met there. I'll just go do the same thing. And so I didn't even visit it. I just went.
You're like, it's fine.
They
feels
liked
right.
it.
Yeah, they liked it. Sure. It's kind of close to home. And what year did you go? Like, what's our gap?
I was there like 2010 to 2014.
Okay, yeah. And this person that you've recently married was a
Yes.
person from this school, or you met her out in the wild?
No, I put 4 years in at a Baptist college, ended up with nobody, not even
I don't
close.
know
It
how
it
you
really
did
took a
that.
while. Yeah,
I would literally
probably.
pay you $100 if you could have gone to my school and not graduated as a person who was married.
Yeah, I know.
$100. That's all I'll pay
There
you.
needs to be a reality show of
Yeah.
He's
like,
not like other Baptists.
Yeah.
well, yeah, it's but anyway, so yeah, I met Rachel just like 2 years ago in Kansas City, just in real life on a pickleball court. Just very white of us, but
At the
Yeah.
Baptist
yeah,
church. No, I'm kidding.
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. That's right. And I mean this in the nicest way. Is she normal? Like, do you have to explain to her you're like little square guy, Southern Baptist upbringing?
It was she had a pretty similar upbringing. She
Okay.
grew up on a farm in Iowa, small town, small school, and so
Was
we
she
share a lot in
Baptist?
common.
Yeah, was she Baptist?
Uh, I think in Iowa it's all just one thing. It's
Just
just
corn.
yeah.
Just the
They
one.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the
Yeah.
one church. Yeah,
Sure,
so
sure. Well, my grandma, if one of us were going to choose to marry someone that wasn't Southern Baptist, as she said, that was marrying outside the faith. So that's what we had going on.
Wow, big
Yeah, that
time.
was
That's
a lot.
funny. My grandma was fine, obviously you should be Christian. She was fine with all of them, except she had some beef with the Church of Christ people.
oh
That
yeah.
I thought that
It's
was
like you
kinda
don't
funny.
use
Not those
instruments,
guys.
you're not good enough for me. Yeah.
That's right.
Which the
Sorry.
best part is my cousin married a guy, Church of Christ. She's like, "He's what?" And he's like the nicest, best guy in the world.
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, it's fine."
Uh-huh.
Doesn't
Uh-huh.
dance though, so.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He's got some restrictions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you came up through the Baptist pipeline, that's just honorable. Like
Mhm.
how many restrictions could we apply and therefore um, live by for the rest of our lives? And so that was my upbringing. Okay, let's go to you, Trey.
Trey Kennedy, born and raised in Edmond, Oklahoma,
Yep,
home of Life Church,
sure.
non-denominational, which means Baptist.
That's
And
right.
but anyway, I didn't go to Life Church. I went to a Southern Baptist church and Henderson Hills, for anyone out there who knows, big one
Bro,
in
I
town.
know it.
Yeah, big one. And it was a great church. It wasn't I, I like we said, I think a lot of people grow up in this realm, and you have your kind of the things you look back on and laugh at, or
Yeah.
are terrified by, and nothing too bad. I try to I joked like I don't know, like I grew up with some questionable things, but like some people grew up with like a pastor who like dated a girl and they were like, we're gonna kick her out now because she wore a spaghetti strap or something.
That's
Like
right.
it wasn't fully that, but it was
Okay.
like a little like if you took like a black girl to prom, they wouldn't
Yeah.
love it, But it was but they
Nope.
were still fun,
Nope.
and it was
Yep.
great church. They're really good to me. Parents still go. I go when I'm back in town, and
Yeah.
I grew up, grandparents Southern Baptist.
Yeah.
Grew us up real strict. No PG-13 movies till I was
Sure.
13. All my friends played Call of Duty, but my mom discovered it was rated M for mature, which means 17. So I mean,
Sure.
you can't play it till you're 17. I was like, come on, let me shoot
Yeah.
people. And
Right.
it was funny. She was naive to the ratings for a while, so
Uh-huh.
she gave me this horrible, gory game when I was like 5 on N64.
Yeah.
And then she learned the ratings, but I was kind of grandfathered into that. She's like,
Yeah.
"You like
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
kid."
She can stand clean before the Lord on that one. She just didn't
Yeah.
know. So yeah.
And so grew up. I also went to a Baptist college, Oklahoma State. Joke, it basically is. Was in a fraternity, which
Yeah.
again, we were talking the other day. I have to explain to people. I'll meet people, that I work
Yeah.
with on the coast, LA, New York. I'm like, I was in a frat, and they're like, crazy. No, I was like, no, we had like mandatory Bible studies, so it was not what you're thinking at all. We'd do like these date nights with girls, and like 3/4 of the fraternity would be like too scared to show up. Like, whatever. So I met some of my best friends there,
Yeah.
great guys, and that's where I kind of made videos and blew up online and went
Yeah.
from there. But a lot of my family's still in Oklahoma, Texas, we're in Kansas City now, and Yeah,
Trey,
we're on the
wasn't your
road all the
church-
time.
Oh,
Do what?
I was gonna say you should talk about your parents' church back in the day and their spanking policies.
Oh,
Big on that.
Yes.
yeah,
Thank
this
you. Dave.
seems
Yeah,
promising.
good wingman
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I did. It's funny. Have you seen the new Duggar documentary?
Oh my God, I had nightmares. Yes.
The what's it called? The IBLP.
Oh,
Did
oh yeah.
y'all church do that?
No.
Okay.
I didn't know
Our
about
church
it.
didn't. Our church did not. It's
Yeah.
funny because I had a couple buddies text me like, "Is this the stuff you grew up with?" I was like, "No." But my parents did Growing Kids God's Way.
Same.
You familiar? You
Yeah,
did
I'm
it?
familiar. Am I familiar? I could teach the class.
Yeah.
So
no.
yeah,
So my
I think I'm
parents,
certified.
my parents, they went to that, and
Yeah.
you know, I think it helped them with some things. But part of the class, they gave them like a 6-pack of weapons.
Oh
To
God.
my dad jokingly called them the Baptist beaters.
I can't.
He'd be
Like
"Let
a
me grab
wooden
Baptist
spoon.
beater,
Is
young
this
man."
what you mean? Like is this
It
like
was
a belt?
it was like a strip of like rubber nylon.
Oh God.
Really?
Poor Katie.
It's real. And
I thought it was like a wooden spoon.
they had them every room in the house, every car. You know, they had one in the car. Sometimes my dad, it was like he was like, looked like he was in the Kentucky Derby. He'd just be
Sure.
driving and, hey,
Yeah.
what are
Yeah.
you doing back there? But they were, yeah, I was like, I don't know what they teach in the Jesus whooping class. You know, like, yeah.
Like, is
Like
there a
like
test? Do we have to
Jesus and
like
his
demonstrate
promises always
acumen?
follow through.
I mean,
Turn the other cheek, you know.
God bless it.
But that was
Uh-huh.
that was my thing, and I had great parents. They never crossed the line, but and I was a very bad kid, so
Uh-huh.
they kept
Me
the bad
neither.
behavior going. My sister, they never touched her with it, but
Oh, I can't with this. I'm the
yeah.
oldest of 4, and I just absolutely ran the tightest operation. I mean,
Mm,
I never met a rule I didn't love and that I wasn't prepared to
Same.
follow. And I
yeah.
was just good as gold. My siblings behind me are just ne'er-do-wells. I mean, absolute ne'er-do-wells. And my parents just stopped caring as far as I can tell. Like, if from an observational standpoint, when I would come home and be like, what's actually going on in here? Like, who's in charge? Who's the adult in this household?
They wore 'em
I'm
down.
still unclear. And the only thing that I can say about that is I have 5 kids, and I am now down to the last one. My 17-year-old is the last one, and she essentially just doesn't have a parent. And I don't know what she's doing. I don't know if she's in school. I don't know if she's graduated or not. I can't remember.
I'm
And
gonna relate to
so
you so much on that.
yeah, I'm like, look, what happened was that I just got tired. And so I'm sorry, because now my big kids come circling the wagons like, you got to be kidding me with this stuff. She
Yeah.
just, I guess her friend just gets to spend the night like on a school Wednesday. And I'm like, sometimes it just makes it easier for me. I don't know how to explain
Want
this
her
to you.
apartment? What's happening?
Yeah, exactly. Like she just came back from a month-long summer adventure camp. I mean, it's the stuff of dreams. Like, she
Yeah,
went to
in
7
Italy.
states. Like,
Yeah.
she rafted and she surfed and she rappelled. I mean, it was like, and my kids literally, my oldest son was like, Mom, do you know what I did in the summer? You sent me to as many free vacation Bible schools as you could possibly find, like in a 50-mile radius. And I'm like, correct. It's just there were so many of you, and we didn't have any money. So
Yeah. Now she's out just Mykonos, Vegas, just wherever, 7 weeks, there's a lot of places to go.
That's right. Exactly right. And I do want to tell you too, Trey, we burned it up between Shawnee and Stillwater in the olden days. And we went two-stepping. What's the big two-stepping place there? Is it still there?
Tumbleweed.
Tumbleweed. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's still going
The
strong.
amount of hours I
That's
have
all
spent in
2
that
Chains
place.
there.
Oh.
So they're killing it.
I was chatting with my book clubbers just the other day in one of our Zoom book talks about the fact that we've been reading together, you guys, for more than 4 years. It's crazy. We have read tons of incredible, impactful, thought-provoking, fun books during that time in the Jen Hatmaker Book Club. And this upcoming season is going to be amazing too. I actually can't wait to get into the lineup of books we have planned. And if you weren't reading with us, let's fix that.
When you're a book club member, not only do you get a book box delivered to your doorstep every month with the book, of course, and a special gift and love notes for me. It's so fun. But we also have live chats on Zoom in our private group. Plus, it's really the best corner of the internet over there. I mean, like, sure, we talk about books every month, of course, but also about life. People are making lifelong friends there and finding connection with others right in their towns, getting together with their local chapters. It's amazing. When you're in book club, you guys get a whole bunch of digital resources like discussion guides and custom content and music playlists from our authors, which are our favorite. So just head over to jenhatmakerbookclub.com to sign up. Start reading with us and making book friends. So you guys, we want you in. It's jenhatmakerbookclub.com. We've been having some conversations over on the socials about the P word. You know the one, perimenopause. I guess this is a thing now for me, and maybe you're there too. But anyway, a lot of weird things are going on in my body right now. And one common issue that every one of us in this season of life seems to have trouble with is sleep. It's like that elusive thing we're chasing and we can't seem to catch. But here's the thing. I've hacked it. Thanks to Focal. I really have. I'm shook by how much this has helped my sleep situation. It's literally changed my sleep game. I started with their drops, and right now I've been loving their full spectrum sleep gummies. I take them every night. They help me fall asleep, and more importantly for me, they help me stay asleep. Because in the before times, I'd catch a thought at 3 a.m., and then that was it. My brain was like, let's go. So even if you're not in perimenopause, but your sleep is just off for a million other reasons, give them a go. I've got a code for you if you want to try them out. Use code FORTHELOVE to get 20% off at focal.com. So let me spell that for you. It's FOCL.com, okay? And your code is FORTHELOVE for 20% off because sleep is priceless, y'all. Thank me later.
Okay, Katie, how did you stumble into this mess?
So I grew up in Georgia, south of Atlanta. So I'm like a true Southerner, not, from Oklahoma. And
I always, true. Oklahoma wasn't part of the Old South, but we would have signed up.
Yeah.
Sure would have. You kind of got there in spirit as quickly as you could. Yeah.
They sure did. But yeah, when I met Trey, we started dating long distance. I moved here to Kansas City. And I was not quite as sheltered as they were. I'm one of 5. So that's why I was like, I can relate to what you're saying because my youngest brother, I'm the second. So, as they went on, it was kind of like, what is happening here?
Yeah,
like,
it's a slow erosion of authority. Yeah.
We were out like at a restaurant bar one night with my youngest brother, and he was like, Mom, I really need to go home. I have the SATs tomorrow. I'm like, he's at a bar the night before his SAT. What is happening?
My mother would be like, you can't leave the house for a month. Study for the ACT.
That's right.
Like, she borderline had him Uber home. I was like, what is happening?
So understandable. Like, I just don't know what to say. You guys are fresh young parents. Like at this point, your baby's going to be obviously the valedictorian, clearly going to follow this incredible path because of your parenting, naturally. I just wanted you to know that will fade. It will. Yeah. And at some point you just realize, no, I'm not in charge of these people. Like they're just as wayward as they could possibly be. But I like the optimism of baby life. We're just like, not in this household. In this household, fill in the blank. It just hang on to it as long as you can, folks.
And it's funny because Katie didn't really grow up super churched.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were not. We went to church sometimes, but we all played travel sports. So
they were what my Grammy would call lost. So I'm glad I've helped her find the Lord by going to church. Yeah, they no, she grew up. She has amazing Christian folks, but they I'm sure you, the Southern Baptist way. I mean, you go to church. I was like, we're in a car wreck. I lost an arm. I was like,
that's right.
Church.
That's right.
So it was a test. She comes from a very Yeah, she was from a chill family, which blows my mind. Yeah.
So it was not quite as sheltered. I can relate a little bit because I was like, in the deep South.
Sure.
But yeah, we weren't quite as like, I'm kind of that person who, have you seen they play those like youth Christian songs? And it's like, guess how many you know? And I'm kind of like, I don't know any of these actually.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I could sing them bar for bar.
Yep.
I'm sure.
Bar for bar.
I really could. I mean, I was just, I went to church like 4 times a week. That is not a joke.
Wow.
That is not a drill. And I think it just accounts for everything that's wrong with me. Like, how in the world did that make any sense to any grown-ups in this? How?
Occupying your time.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, the streets of Wichita.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, really, golly. Okay, so all that is hilarious, and for me, incredibly relatable, and a ton of my community too. Like a bunch of my community kind of came up that way, and now we're just in various states of disrepair. However you want to like pin it to the board. We're all sort of sorting that out as grown-ups, like, I'm not sure if some of that was actually true. And so, but it makes for hilarious content. I mean, all I ever have to do is drop a youth group song from the 80s into the feed, and it's like piranhas. Like, it's just a feeding frenzy. We can just, the memories attached to this stuff are endless. Absolutely endless.
It's a cool little community. You grew up with the old, it's just so unique. I don't know. It's kind of,
it is.
Yeah. It's fun.
Unique to itself, but ubiquitous everywhere it existed. Right. Like, this wasn't apparently just a Midwest thing. It was everywhere. This is what we did, and this is how we were raised, which is really, really fun. Let's talk about your careers. Because sometimes kind of a sheltered upbringing doesn't necessarily parlay into a career in comedy. That's not the well-worn path that I saw. We all became pastors, missionaries, and teachers. I think that was our only choice. And so this is a really interesting hard left that you guys have taken. So I'd love, if you wouldn't mind, to hear you talk, both of you, and Katie, you too, about kind of the early stages when you thought, is this a real job? Like, is this a job that I can have as a career? I'm funny. There might be a place for this. Like, where did you start workshopping your earliest material? Like, what did that look like? And how did this slowly become something that wasn't just on a Vine? That's where you started, right, Trey? Into like this whole thing, because you got a whole thing now.
Yeah. I'll start. Yeah, it was. Okay. I grew up with, my parents were they were on it, man. Not just religion and Christianity and church, but you better make straight A's. I mean, they just really pushed me, and I'm grateful for that now. But of course, I mean, it just drove me insane. And but my parents definitely, they walked the walk too. My dad ran his own business. My mom was like the superhero mom that like ran every PTA and and beyond that, they were also very funny, and like humor was a big part of our
me too.
culture of our household. And I think that's what kept us from being like from not taking ourselves too seriously with how intense a lot of it was. How much my dad appreciated joking around, and my mom, and so there wasn't and my parents were big, my dad being an entrepreneur and being kind of a smart guy, he was always, I think, pretty open-minded for what I wanted to do, and never pushed me to like take over his work and they told me years later, like recently, they're like, we always had a feeling you would do something a little different, which was kind of cool for them to say. And so I just, in college, I always made good grades because they hounded me and forced me, but I had no interest in school. Into college, I just like picked finance because I just I didn't care, and I was like, I guess that works. And so by the end of college, I was like, I definitely don't want to do finance, but it's too late to change. And luckily the app Vine popped up. I thought it was so fun. We made videos just for for fun with friends, and then I got way too into it. It's part of my personality is I would like locked in. I just kept making them and was able to go viral and kind of get up, 20,000 followers, which this is back in the early social media days.
Totally.
Instagram was just photos, and you're like, if someone had like 1,000 followers, you're like, is this the most popular person on the planet?
For sure.
And so it was like insane. And then a couple videos insanely popped, and it was like in the course of 3 months, I had 1 million followers, and it was like,
Wow.
all right, what is this? And influencer wasn't a thing yet. No one was making money on this yet. But that really launched like a discovery. I also discovered I could sing in college and got involved with like theatrical things and singing like around in coffee shops. So I was really exploring a lot of talents because I was grown up very, very kind of in a box. Not that I'm upset about it, but it's, especially in Oklahoma, Southern, there's not this big encouragement of like explore your creative flamboyant side, Trey. Like there wasn't a lot of that. One of my all-time favorite stories is when I'd gone viral on Vine, and as you see my content today, if you haven't, I do a number of characters, among them like impersonating basic white girls. So there was a lot of people just being like, is this guy gay? What's the deal? And my grandma, I remember she lived down the street. It's perfect. And she's like, my mom's like, Grammy wants to see you. I'm like, okay, that was not super usual. And she sat me down on the front porch. She's like, I was talking to someone at church, and they asked me if you were gay. Yeah. And I just started dying laughing. She's like, you're not gay, right? And I was like, well, no, I'm not. I mean, who cares? She's like, well, I don't. And she just didn't want people to like, she cared, right? She's like, well, I don't want people spreading that rumor around. I was like, well, I don't really care, but I'll try to. It's just funny. I didn't even know who these people were, but yeah.
Of course.
I tried to tone down the gay.
Sure.
I announced 80, and everyone was like, dang, I thought this guy was gay. Just because I do the
it's a real plot twist
character, but it's been wild, and it's made me not take myself as seriously, and it's just parlayed into more videos and more followers, and then touring around, which I never thought I'd do. So
I know I want to come back to that. Stick a pin in that, and I want to get to the podcast too, because eventually comedy can become work. I mean, good work that you want to do and work that pays your mortgage, which is so exciting. It's rare air. Like it's really hard to do, really hard to secure. And so I want to get to that. But I love to hear sort of the comeuppance. How about you, Jake?
Everything pretty similar to Trey. I feel like my entire upbringing from 0 to 18 was all sports. Like that's all I cared about. I played baseball, basketball, football. And then the second you get to college, and I'm not playing a college sport because I'm 5'10" and white, then I just start to realize like I get all these opportunities. People start to see me as this like kind of funny character and like, hey, do you want to, you go to a small school like SBU, and they're like, hey, do you want to host our like variety show? It's like, oh, sweet. What a fun opportunity to try and like make people laugh from a stage. And then I went on to work at this summer camp called Kanakuk. And then they thought I was funny. And then they are giving me these opportunities like, hey, would you want to be the guy in charge of all the skits and all the parties? Like, oh, wow. I'm like unlocking this, like, I don't know, these passions, these talents that like I never knew I had for most of my life. And all of a sudden I'm like, I kind of like being in front of people. But the whole time I was doing that, it always felt like such a short-term thing. It was like, well, yeah, as long as I stay in college, I'll have these opportunities. Or as long as I keep working for Kanakuk, I'll have these opportunities. And even post-college, I worked as my first career. I worked as a youth pastor for 3 years. And then even then it was like, all right, well, I mean, I'm up in front of people now, but that's only as long as I'm a youth pastor.
Right.
And so I never really thought I would have a career in comedy. I wasn't necessarily trying to pursue that. Just kind of taking the next thing. And so while doing youth ministry, I picked up a camera and just bought one randomly, started using it, thought it'd be fun to take cooler Instagram pictures. And long story short, that leads me into like teaching myself video. I ended up shooting my shot with Trey because I could tell he was shooting everything on a tripod. And I was like, that's gotta suck. And so I called him and he's like, yeah, it does suck. It's a little weird actually to be wearing a woman's dress in my house with a tripod set up.
Did you know him, or was this like a cold call?
It was, I think we met once. So we met once a year previous.
From Kanakuk.
Sure. I sent my sons there, you guys. Don't get it twisted. Okay.
Cool. I figured you had to know what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a pretty decent cold call. We didn't have each other's number or anything. I had to do some kind of interesting things to get Trey's phone number, but I called him and he answered, and he was like, I mean, yeah, I guess if you want.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool. So then started working with Trey, and then probably, I mean, not that long, maybe a year or two into being Trey's videographer, he was like, hey, I'm thinking about like taking what I do on the road. Would you want to open for me? And I was like, yeah, I could try it. And so that's how I got into this. I mean, I was not planning on it or anything, but had some little sprinkles of like opportunities to do similar things previously.
Yeah. So I want to hear about that first tour, because that is pretty gutsy. I'm going to be honest. That's a real gutsy move. It is really vulnerable and a little bit exhilarating and a little bit terrifying to stand in front of people and try to make them laugh. And so did you piece this together yourselves? Did you have some people going, we're going to back you here? Because even putting just a tour together logistically is just a huge pain in the ass, and it's a ton of work, and it's a whole nother line item. There's being the funny guy on the stage, and then there's running a tour. So I mean, it's just endless work. I've done it so many times. And so how did that come to be? And was it just like, let's throw this against the wall and see if it sticks?
Yeah, I got I didn't even think about it. You know, I had gone out on the road with John Christ a couple weekends. You know, we had shot videos together, and he was really the first guy among a few who we were seeing this happen of like, you build a following and you could sell these tickets. And, you know, John had been a comic for years and years. So it was just like a layup for him in a lot of ways. But for me, I had never even thought to do stand up. If you asked me anytime in my life, do you want to stand up? And no, I absolutely don't want to do that. And I got signed by an agent, and my manager helped, and he's been a manager for a long time now. He's a great guy. And they're like, hey man, here's where they think you can sell this many tickets in these cities. And I was like, I just didn't believe it. And of course, and a lot of influencers were kind of doing the like, you do a fun little like sketch show and Q&A. And I was like, oh, that sounds horrible. So I don't know what it was in me. I didn't even hesitate. I was like, all right, let's try it. But I want to do a show I'm proud of. So give me some time to see if I'm even good at this at all or like it. So I did my agent lined me up on some different little like 10-minute spots here and there. And got up for the first time. Katie was there. She was my girlfriend at the time. I was horrified. I did my 10 minutes tour 1,000 times and went up, did it. Wasn't a disaster. Wasn't great, but I was kind of like, okay. And I just kind of kept at it. And then a few months later, we're like, all right, let's do a small show, see if we can sell tickets. It sold out in an instant. And that was that first night of a packed house, like pumped to see me. It was so surreal. So. And
what did you have? Did you have an hour of material?
Yeah,
That's a lot. That's hard.
Yeah, I had from my very first time to stand up to my first hour show was like 4 months later. So in hindsight, I don't know. I don't really know how I did that. I mean, right now, if I saw it, I'm sure it wasn't great, but people laughed, and I remember getting off that stage, having a pretty intense thought of like, I think that just changed my life a little bit.
What did you think, Katie? You were there. Were you nervous?
Yes.
The first time I did it,
the very first time I was very nervous, but I feel like he did very good. I mean, for that to be the first time ever on stage to do 10 minutes, like I was
so supportive.
I was very impressed. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do.
No, it isn't. Funny's hard.
Yeah, and people were laughing, and like, yes, he went very fast, but like, it was really good content. And
I mean, listen, it wasn't like perfect.
It wasn't like no, it was very good. And I was like, okay, yeah, he can definitely do this. If that's his first time ever getting up on stage and doing a set, then it's, relatively, coming natural to him. So yeah, and then it's really cool that I got to be, I'm glad that I was around for the very first part of that, all the way up until what it is now. to kind of like be part of that process and watch him grow in that. It's been very cool.
When did the podcast come around?
The podcast has coming up on the 4-year anniversary. So that started in September 2019. Yeah. And it's been several different iterations, that's the best part of it, I think, is how it grows. And so it was just started as me. I started when I was first starting stand-up too. I was just trying new things. I was like, all right, I've been doing videos for years. I need to kind of build a career. I don't really know this is headed. I still wasn't confident. I had a career in front of me. So it was just a solo show where I would set up a mic and a camera and just kind of rant for 45 minutes.
Sure.
And that went pretty well and was pretty fun for a year or two until I found myself starting to dread it, because I was like, I'm glad I did it. I think it worked a lot of muscles, like to just try to improv and riff by yourself for 5 minutes was a challenge. But I finally got sick of it. Jake was now starting to open for me. He was helping me with stuff. And so I asked him to come on as a co-host, and he was like, absolutely. And he'd done a few in the past when I had, baby boy Thomas.
He really wants.
Yeah,
we'd like to see him in the frame. So
yeah, we'll give him a little show here.
This podcast is baby friendly. Guy. Hi, buddy.
Hey. And Jake had been a co-host a few times, I think, just weeks where I was like, dude, I can't talk by myself anymore. Yeah. But so Jake was on, super fun for maybe that was like a year, and then we got this whole new studio, really upped the production and got a dedicated space. And Katie, I think you hopped on a couple times just for fun.
Yeah.
And we felt like there was a good reaction, and it was kind of like an duh. Like we have such a female
You need
audience.
a straight man in there, and like Katie plays it perfectly.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it worked well. Where Jake and I, really we're the guys who can talk and joke, and Katie's a woman of few wise words in a lot of ways. So it was a fun addition. That's a compliment.
Thank you.
It is. It really is a compliment. Like it's that rhythm of comedy that is so appealing. When those two are just going off the rails of just shenanigans and tomfoolery, and then you're like, enough. Like bring it. That's a funny thing to experience as a listener. And you just do it really seamlessly and almost earnestly. And it's just the perfect yin to that yang. Do you enjoy that, Katie? Because like, this isn't your deal. Like, this is their problem, like to be these funny guys. So like, do you enjoy this?
Yeah, I do. It helped that, I don't know, the whole process. I was around when they have been writing and shooting videos for, years now, and Jake had been coming to our house for every day for years, and so it's a very like, it just kind of felt like it's just kind of what we do off camera also. We were on tour together and living a lot of life together in that sense, so it was pretty natural, pretty seamless.
Katie and I are former roommates if you count the bus. So
exactly. And I do count the bus.
Yes,
that is a whole living situation. Yes, I have traveled with 12 roommates at a time on a bus. It's just so many. It's so many. And so Jake, one of the things that is so funny about the show is that when somebody sends a submission to you, they just get absolutely roasted. Which is so funny. You're brutal. Like it's no holds barred. And so, first of all, hilarious. Second of all, like, do me like roast me. Like I want to hear.
Oh, wow.
I'm so easy. It's so easy. I offer you so much content. Like everything about me is a natural roast. So I'm your target demographic, first of all. And I'm online influencer, the worst. Pick a thing. Like used to be like this, and now I'm kind of got a bad mouth. Like there's so many places for you to go. So let me just volley it to you.
First of all, this has never happened before like this, so I will try my best. But no one's ever just looked me in the eye and said, roast me.
That is, of our whole culture of growing up real church. It's a funny new culture of like, then they're like, I grew up really straight laced, but I say the S word now. Yeah, I'll drink a glass of wine or two. Whoa.
Totally.
Not like most Christians.
I think what I liked about you, Jen, was that earlier you asked me when I went to SBU, you're like, oh, what year were you? And I said like 2010, and you didn't really say anything after that. And like 10 minutes later, you're like, oh man, me and my girls, we love like 80s old school music. And I was like, well, yeah. So did you think we were going to be the same age there for a split second?
She's like, did you write a column for the paper there? I read it every morning.
I was more like, did that college make? Is it still in existence? Like,
sure.
I'm curious if it still has enough like robust student body to even like keep the lights on.
Honestly, yeah, it's kind of funny you say that. I think we might be disbarred from like the Southern Baptist Convention. Like, I don't think it's an accredited university anymore. So you kind of were on the right track.
Yeah, totally. I still get like constant emails. Do you want to donate to your alma mater? And I'm like, I don't, but I appreciate you asking, and I also appreciate your persistence, because I graduated in 1996, and so the answer's still no. But I do listen. It's, you know whose fault that is? Mine, and I'll tell you why. I have the exact same email address that I got in college. I got my first email address in college. If you are good at like math and like timing, if you can think mid 90s, they were like, it started off with this inter-campus email system. And I just remember telling my friends, it's the dumbest thing I ever heard of. If you want to talk to me, you will call me on my phone, like that's attached to the wall. This is so, who's ever going to use this?
Ever going to email, yeah.
Who's would ever do that? Like, I'm even going to look at somebody who sent me an email. Anyway, my first email that I got that was not obu.edu was AOL, which I have to this living day. It's my singular. It is. It's my singular email address, and so that is why OBU can keep finding me.
How many numbers are in it?
Oh, like how many contacts?
No, like is it like Jen 4321?
I see what you're saying. I'm not going to tell you because I don't want people to email me, but it's pretty bad. It's pretty, it was like, I put in a combination of my first name and last name until I could find one that wasn't taken. And it's still it. And I'm a professional. And like, when I have to tell people my email address, like, this is a true story. I was interviewing and in connection with like kind of doing a work partnership with Melinda Gates. And she's like, I'm going to send this to your email. And I was like, I just couldn't. I just didn't want to tell her, and I was like, "Just text it to me." And she's like, "Well, because of the attachment thing," and I was like, "Oh, damn it!" So I had to say AOL to Melinda Gates. It was just shame based, you know. It was just shameful. So anyhow,
I mean that's real. Every guys our age had to deal with that for years. I don't know about you. I had to switch over. I had the old, AIM username. People like, what? How may I email you? Like, it's
totally.
Trey gets buckets and chicks at AIM. I don't know. Sorry.
Okay, tell us just a little bit about how our tour's going, because you mentioned the bus. That's a whole thing people don't understand. It's a vibe, and sometimes a good one, and sometimes not that. And so let's hear also how it's going, because you're in it right this very second, right?
We're in it. We got home yesterday from a run, so it's been great. It's the second tour, so I think we're really mastering the tour life. I think Jake would agree. Our first tour, I mean, I'm sure Jake would agree. I was dealing with just this whole new experience, still finding confidence as a performer, and like still kind of like, man, are people enjoying this? And it feels like round two, it's like, okay, I found my voice a little bit. I'm feeling confident. I'm really like my material, and we found our tour manager's locked in. We had a revolving door of a few different pieces. Like, we love this guy. We found who sells the merch. We got our openers. We have a really great crew. We're all friends, and we've mastered a little bit of how to kill time on the road in a fun way, or make the most of our time. And so it's been great. I mean, it's been you hear the little guy, like I've Katie was on the road the whole first tour, which is a great adventure for us as newlyweds.
Yeah.
But now she comes out here and there, but it's tough with a baby, as you
Of
know,
course.
15 of them. But
That's right.
so that's been an added wrinkle of like missing them, and we're
Yeah.
figuring how we want to balance that out. But
I mean, now they've, mastered tour life where I'm not there. And so they're doing like all this fun stuff during the day. They do a boat day, and one day Trey was like, I'm getting a massage.
it's
And
like, Katie, yeah, we're playing at a casino. We have a beautiful suite. We're gonna sit by the pool.
I'm like, this is not what last tour looked like when I
For
was
sure.
there.
So I have a question about your tour. Are some of your dates just you alone, and some of them are like a comedy festival or sort of gathering of comics?
Good question. I just played my first ever comedy festival last weekend, Just for Laughs Montreal.
How'd it go?
Pretty good. We joke. It was I don't know. It was my first festival, so I was honored to be a part of it, and overall very positive thing. I didn't know what to think. We had a number of travel issues getting there, which was funny and it's kind of a nightmare. And then it was great. I got to meet a few people, not as many as I'd like. It's just there's a lot going on, but show went well, and it was up in Canada, Montreal, so there's an element of like I was a long way from my southern roots of the core audience. No one up there grew up going to VBS,
That's right. How does your material play in not just a different part of the country, but you're surrounded by you're a clean comic, that's your deal, but the rest of these guys aren't.
Right.
And so how do you manage like rapport with the other comics, and what do they think of your content and vice versa?
They were nice to me. I sure hope they like me, but that's what's nice about being clean. I say like if I was a dirty comic and had this or that, it probably would have played better at that certain festival. But when you're clean and hopefully material is good and funny, it's kind of hard to like completely bomb, because there's an element that anyone can relate to this. There's definitely a couple pieces, and even being in Canada, I kind of a rookie mistake of you say something about I made fun of like Joseph A. Banks, which we all know is weird, and I had to pivot because like, oh yeah, they don't have those up here. And there's little things like that, but there's definitely certain pieces that obviously my fans in Dallas or Florida are gonna relate to a lot more, but it's still universal enough that I find, fortunately, my comedy's working all over the country. I was very nervous when we first went to like Connecticut, and the guy running the club's like, "I'm Vinny, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, is these people even gonna know what I'm talking about?" But they did.
Yeah.
If you're anything like me, your size may go up or down a little. Like our bodies just fluctuate like bodies do. From week to week, month to month, sometimes year to year. That's normal. It's okay. It's even good sometimes. We're human people with human bodies. But sometimes it can make clothes kind of annoying and dumb. Like even small shifts are enough to make a size change, which can be a problem because we can't just buy clothes forever, right? So I see you raising your hand out there. You're with me on this. I get fights into zippers just like the rest of us. So here's what I want you to know, and a hack that I have discovered for myself. My friends over at Able Clothing have solved this problem with something new, and they're calling it the Size Swap Program for, I'm not kidding, forever amount of time. When you shop their Size Swap collection, you can exchange these items for a new size that fits you best for free and for always. It's the easy button for clothes, and some of our favorite looks are in the Size Swap collection, including the best denim jacket in the world that I obsess over, tons of amazing like layering shirts and graphic tees, the most delicious leather jacket you've ever seen, dresses, cardigans, you guys, even shoes. This is just one more way Able is out here doing the absolute most with their amazing style for everyone and their ethical practices. So head over to ableclothing.com and use my code JEN to save a little something extra. So that's ableclothing.com, code JEN.
Wrapping it up here, guys. Just off the top of your head, and I would like an answer from each of you. I don't know if you'll answer this because you want to be nice. You want to be nice. But let's just say, hypothetically, what's one place you'd not want to perform at again?
Oh wow.
Could be a place, could be a city, it could be a region. I don't know.
No, I'm down to answer this for sure.
You got
Jake,
it?
You want to start? Yeah.
I was gonna say not necessarily a specific city, but Trey and I did a show one time at a county fair, and I'll just say probably good on county fair shows. We were in the middle of like a horse track, so their stage is like in the center of it.
Yeah.
And the closest fan to us was on the other side of the horse track and the grandstand. I mean, 200 yards away from us, which is not good for anyone, especially comedy. And so it just sounds like you're performing to no one. You can't see anyone. It smells like manure.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So you're good on that one.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, some of my worst show experiences have been in Oklahoma City, which is heartbreaking. That's hometown. So I'm definitely coming back. Do what?
I said, is that right? Are you too close to home? You're a hometown guy?
It's just been bad luck. I can't wait to go back. We're gonna redeem it. But my first tour, we were dealing with the pandemic and all this and that and this and that. And then you got into the vaccinated, this, that, are you not? And my venue in Oklahoma City, we had 3 sold out shows. I couldn't wait. And like the days before my show, I was the first show where they changed their protocol, vaccine required. Yeah. So as you can imagine,
I can.
Not a lot of people showed up.
I can't
That's
imagine.
why I had to do 3 empty shows instead of 3 sold out shows. And it was just like, what
a bummer.
What is the point of it? And then I had like a gig for a charity event, and a woman running for U.S. Senate heckled me all night. And I got into it with a politician, and it was very awkward.
How delightful.
Yeah.
The comic stream.
So that was hilarious. They like made the news that she was like, I was getting hit up for interviews and stuff because she was dropping out of the race and because of like drinking problems. And so I was getting hit up. People were like, you should have seen her heckle Trey Kennedy. I was like, what is happening? It was so funny though. I got off stage. My friends were like, do you know who you were roasting? I'm like, well,
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So,
Katie, do you have one?
I haven't really performed.
Come on, what's your least favorite city?
But you're a part of the crew.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, the least favorite city I went to.
What's one city you don't want to go back to?
There's a pretty long list, probably.
I like it. I like it.
I'm trying to think where. It's probably just wherever, we toured in the winter, and some of these green rooms were like really gross.
Oh yeah, I've been in those.
And I felt, that's where we had to shower, we had to do all of that.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to call anyone out because I want you to be able to go back there.
No, call them out.
Name names, Katie.
It is. I mean, what is the one in Portland?
Portland.
Was it rough?
She is a Southern gal.
I do like the city, but it was
Portland.
The bathrooms are like kind of in the hallway along with the shower, like right at the entrance almost. So I think that day I just like didn't shower.
We did. That's why we did Salem, Oregon this time instead of Portland.
Katie's choice.
We did do Portland?
I mean,
no, we did Salem.
I'm thinking Seattle. Seattle.
Oh, wow.
Pacific Northwest shade in general.
My least favorite cities: Seattle, Portland,
San Francisco.
I like this city. It was Seattle. Those are, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Jake and Trey, where the bathrooms are like
Katie
when you walk in.
We did say she toured. She came with us on tour the first time, but only to the red states. She refused.
I've done so many tours where it's kind of in an arena type place, and the locker room is like also used for hockey, and so it just smells like jock straps. It's disgusting, and I'm just like, I'll just be dirty, thanks. I'll just.
It is amazing. People don't realize you play this like gorgeous theater with that sits however many people, and it'll be like a cheap church camp stall shower, and it's like,
there was a community shower. You remember that, Jake?
Community shower.
Where
I almost had a little accident.
That's a good tour story, Jake. We'll throw it to you.
Well, I just
very-
remember, the way it was set up, like there's 9 different ways to walk
Yeah.
into the shower. This is the most
Yeah.
accessible shower in the world.
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy, and Katie like needs to shower, and so I'm terrified to open any door because it's so confusing. And I'm like, I hear the shower running, I can't tell where
Yeah.
it's coming from. It could be Katie, so I
Yeah.
just sat in my room all day. I didn't want to go
Yeah.
anywhere.
You can't risk it. You really can't. There's no
and
coming back from that.
And it's amazing how many venues don't have hot water. So this one in particular wouldn't get hot.
No.
So Katie's showering. They know we're both in there, and I'm in the locker room and she's showering, and so she's trying to do a cold shower. She's just going, and that's all Jake's hearing in the other room.
What is that? What is that?
I'm not ready for this. I'm not married.
Gross.
Oh, y'all. Oh, man. It's so glamorous. It's all just so very glamorous. Last question. Since all of your opinions are obviously correct ones.
Yep.
What's the most controversial that you stand on? You stand on it. You said what you said. It is what it is. This is the thing.
Batman sucks. Batman sucks. You're a grown adult. You're gonna watch a man in a bat costume. I don't get it. I don't get it. Then 99% of people disagree with it. I've always said that.
Said what you said.
I saw the very first one, whatever it's called. Don't care.
Yeah.
I couldn't even do it. I
That
fell
was
asleep.
enough.
This guy walking around.
Yeah.
It seemed corny to me. You could do,
Yeah.
do a
You
better
obviously
voice.
saw the Michael Keaton one. Yeah, it's fine. Listen.
Can't do it.
It's
People
your
make fun of
podcast.
I don't do the superhero movies. People are like, "Wow, you too good for that?" I'm like, "Sorry, I don't want to see Ant-Man." I couldn't. I thought that was a Saturday Night Live sketch. It's a real movie.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. I don't watch any of
Okay,
those.
good. Excellent. Okay, what do you got, Jake?
I'm gonna go with everyone loves to hate on Nickelback. It's the most common punching bag in America for some reason. I don't know what they did to deserve this. Go look at Nickelback's like top songs. I bet
look at their
everyone
canon.
listening right now, they know the words to like every like 6 probably like full Nickelback songs. They have cranked out some hits. So everyone just rethink Nickelback, okay?
That's
Before the next little punchline you do on Facebook.
Jake wasn't allowed to listen to it until he was 25 , so that does help. He's pretty fired up.
To me, they're a brand new musician. I just heard some of their music, so
a nice beat.
You know, Weird Al never covered them back in the day. I listened to a lot of him, so yeah, they're brand new to me.
Katie, you got one?
Yeah, probably that Trey and Jake kind of go a little too far sometimes. That's, I think, pretty controversial in those comments. That I shut that down.
Oh, all right. So you're defending them, or you're piling onto the mob with the mob?
I'm saying that I shut it down, but I think that it's pretty controversial. Like, I think that people want them to keep going, but I'm kind of like, all right, that's enough, you know.
Well, that's your job there. And also you get to do that with impunity. So if they want to tell you how to do it, they can get their own podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, you guys. I'm so happy to meet you. It's so fun to have you on the show. It's just delightful. I've been watching your stuff for years. So it's just fun to finally meet you. And we have so many friends in common and so much crossover. And so just a blast. I'm just cheering you on in every way. Where do people find out more? Like where to see you, where to get tickets, where to do all the things?
Pretty much all the info is at TreyKennedy.com. But you can follow us. You can find us on Instagram everywhere. Trey Kennedy, Jake Triplett. Correct Opinions Podcast is the name of our podcast every Wednesday. Come out. We've got 25 more cities to hit. We're gonna announce more cities.
Dang.
We're going to Australia. Nice. Hawaii. We're getting overseas. So come see us.
Fantastic. I love it. Thanks, you guys. So good to have you on. Everybody, I will link to everything so you don't have to remember all that.
Thank you so much,
and I'll put that up. All right, you guys. Great to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you later.
All right, you guys. They're the best. If by chance you are not already following them, that you've got to fix that right this second. Listen, our social feeds are heavy enough. We need some fun, and these guys deliver. And so if you go to Jen Hatmaker underneath the podcast tab, I'll have not only this whole episode if you want to share it, but all their socials, all their stuff, the website, tour schedule, all of it. Because if they are coming anywhere near you, you should go. You should absolutely go. Also, you can watch this interview over on YouTube if you'd like. It's always fun to see an interview, not just hear it. And Trey and Katie's baby makes a constant appearance, which is the best. So anyhow, more to come in this super fun series. I love funnies. People, I wish we could do like dozens of these in a row, but enjoy these hilarious comics as we bring them to you, you guys. All right, see you next week.